Welcome back to Deep World Updates. We tear apart the headlines and expose the engine driving America's economic heart. Tonight, we're diving deep into a story that's sending shockwaves from Wall Street to Main Street, the heartland to the White House. In 2025, Walmart, the backbone of American retail, dropped a bombshell. Prices were about to skyrocket, and the culprit? A fresh wave of Trump tariffs. Now, I know what you're thinking. Here we go again with the blame game. But this isn't about politics, folks. It's about the financial realities facing every American family, every business owner, every worker punching the clock. While the media screams about Walmart abandoning America, the truth is far more complicated and far more alarming. This isn't just about expensive groceries. It's about global power plays, the future of American jobs, and the dangerous gamble of protectionist policies. Tonight, we're breaking down 5 major developments that reveal how Walmart's evolution could reshape the entire nation. On May 15, 2025, Walmart, a company built on low prices, shattered its own image. CEO Doug McMillon dropped the hammer. Brace yourselves, folks, because prices are about to surge. The culprit? You guessed it, those Trump tariffs. We're talking a whopping 145% on some Chinese goods before settling at 30%. Now, Walmart's CFO, John David Rainey, didn't sugarcoat it. He said their margins were already razor thin, and these tariffs were like a gut punch. Prices on everyday essentials, bananas, avocados, baby food, were set to spike by June, with another jump coming in July, just in time for back-to-school shopping. But it's not just the basics. Electronics, toys, even a simple Barbie doll went from $10.49 to $14.99 in a week. And Trump's solution? He said Walmart should just eat the cost. Now, anyone who's ever run a business, even balanced a checkbook, knows that's not how the real world works. These tariffs are taxes, plain and simple. And when a giant like Walmart, known for its low prices, starts feeling the heat, it sends shockwaves through the entire system. But the price hikes were just the tip of the iceberg. Behind the scenes, Walmart was already making major moves, quietly shifting its entire supply chain. They started investing heavily in suppliers in Vietnam, India, Mexico, anywhere but here. And it wasn't just a knee-jerk reaction. They called it Grow With Us, replacing their Made in America promises with a new strategy tariff-proofing their logistics. They even redesigned packaging, swapping materials to dodge those import duties. And then came the automation blitz. Robots and AI in stores, replacing workers, cutting costs. Critics called it a betrayal of Walmart's American identity. But the executives, they only cared about one thing: survival. They weren't abandoning American retail. They were trying to protect it from a trade war that was turning American manufacturing into a financial liability. Even icons like Walmart were being forced to adapt or die. And this adaptation? It didn't sit well in Washington. While America was busy debating the price of milk and eggs, Walmart was quietly moving its operations offshore. This wasn't just about finding cheaper labor. It was a calculated strategy to sidestep the financial bombshells being lobbed from the Oval Office. They poured money into building relationships with suppliers across Asia and Latin America, nations that weren't caught in the crosshairs of Trump's trade war. It was a strategic realignment of their entire global network. And it wasn't just about where products were coming from. It was about how they were made. Packaging was redesigned, materials swapped out, all in the name of minimizing exposure to those crippling tariffs. But the real gut punch came with the automation. Robots and AI started appearing in stores across the country, replacing jobs that were once deemed essential. Walmart tried to spin it as innovation, but the reality was clear. They were cutting costs, sacrificing American jobs to stay afloat in a trade war of our own making. Critics cried foul, accusing Walmart of turning its back on the American worker. But the company held firm, arguing that their actions were necessary for survival. They claimed they were committed to U.S. jobs, but their actions spoke louder than words. This wasn't just about Walmart anymore. It was a stark illustration of the impossible choices businesses across America were facing. When the cost of doing business in America becomes unsustainable, even giants like Walmart are forced to look elsewhere. And the White House? They weren't about to let this slide. Word of Walmart's global pivot hit the Oval Office like a sucker punch. Sources say President Trump was furious, feeling betrayed by a company he saw as an American institution. Behind closed doors, he reportedly raged about disloyalty, threatening to retaliate against Walmart and its executives. Publicly, the president took to his favorite platform, Truth Social, unleashing a tirade against the retail giant. He accused them of betraying the American people, demanding they eat the tariffs and keep prices low. His Commerce Secretary, Howard Lutnick, echoed the sentiment, insisting that companies should absorb the costs of the trade war. But economists were quick to push back, pointing out the obvious. Tariffs are taxes, and those taxes are always passed on, either to the consumer or the company, or both. Walmart, for its part, stood its ground. CEO Doug McMillon reiterated their commitment to American jobs while emphasizing the harsh realities of the retail industry. He argued that absorbing the tariffs was simply not sustainable and that their actions were necessary to protect both the company and its customers. But the damage was done. Trump's loyal base, fueled by his rhetoric, turned on Walmart, accusing them of being unpatriotic. The company faced a wave of boycotts and protests, its image tarnished by the accusations of betrayal. The situation was a powder keg, and it highlighted the dangerous gamble of Trump's trade policies. When even a behemoth like Walmart is forced to adapt to survive, it's a clear sign that something is fundamentally broken. When Walmart's first quarter earnings came out, the numbers told a story of resilience. But beneath the surface, alarm bells were ringing. Revenue was up, thanks in part to panic buying and stockpiling, but profits had taken a hit. They beat analyst expectations, but only because of aggressive cost-cutting and those early import stockpiles. This wasn't sustainable growth. It was a company desperately trying to outrun a storm of its own making. CEO McMillon and CFO Rainey didn't sugarcoat it. They admitted that tariffs were eating into their profits, forcing them to make tough choices. A $350 car seat from China was now over $450. Strollers, electronics, seasonal goods, everything was about to get more expensive. And it wasn't just Walmart. Mattel, Procter & Gamble, everyone was hiking prices. But Walmart, with its 3,600 stores and 150 million weekly shoppers, their every move sent ripples through the entire economy. Investors were initially spooked, but they soon recognized Walmart's strategy. Automation, overseas sourcing, AI, these weren't signs of weakness, they were survival tactics. They might stabilize profits, but at what cost? Consumer confidence was plummeting, with 75% blaming tariffs for the rising cost of living. Walmart's pivot wasn't about abandoning America. It was about surviving an economic war zone. And nowhere were the consequences more apparent than in the small towns and rural communities that Walmart had once vowed to support. When Walmart sneezes, small-town America catches a cold. This wasn't just about higher prices at the checkout. It was about the slow bleed of jobs, stability, and hope from communities that were already struggling. Distribution hubs were downsizing, local suppliers were being dropped, and truck drivers were hauling fewer loads. The ripple effects of Walmart's global pivot were being felt in every corner of the country. In towns where Walmart was the largest employer, cutting shifts or staff wasn't just about lost paychecks. It was about families losing their homes, schools losing funding, and local businesses shutting their doors. The promise of Made in America was replaced with the harsh reality of Made overseas. Small manufacturers who had built their businesses on Walmart contracts were left high and dry, their livelihoods sacrificed on the altar of a trade war. And while Walmart touted its investments in high-tech stores and fulfillment centers, those shiny new facilities often required fewer workers, leaving rural communities behind. Lawmakers sounded the alarm, but Trump doubled down, threatening more tariffs, more economic warfare. Economists warned of runaway inflation and a recession, but their pleas fell on deaf ears. Working Americans were caught in the middle, forced to choose between paying more or losing more. The American dream was becoming a nightmare, and Walmart's transformation was a stark reminder of the true cost of protectionism. So, is Walmart packing up and leaving America? Not physically. The stores are still there, but the soul, the spirit, the commitment to American jobs and communities, that's a different story. Tariffs haven't brought back factories. They've pushed companies to find cheaper labor, automate aggressively, and prioritize profits over people. Walmart, the most American of brands, has become a symbol of a nation divided. A stark reminder that slogans can't override spreadsheets. As prices climb, communities crumble, and the trade war rages on, one thing is clear. Walmart's pivot is just the beginning. If the biggest name in retail is looking overseas to survive, what does that say about the future of the American worker? We want to hear from you. Do you think Walmart's move is a betrayal or a necessity? Should companies be forced to absorb tariffs, or is that simply unrealistic? And what about the long-term cost of automation? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your voice matters, and this is a conversation we need to have.